Hey guys, welcome to the Tech Career Booster. This is another live about the My Roommates app. So if you guys are following, some duplication here. What I'm going wrong? Sorry for that. Got a duplication audio. Let me get back, guys. Welcome to the Tech Career Booster. This live is about the My Runmates app. If you guys are following that, that's the second live. We are doing live session coding. And today we are going to be doing a quick review on what we have done in the previous live, which was the backend API. And then we're going to continue it through the front end. We're going to continue to see how we're going to start the React Native app, and we are trying to do, let's see where we can get up to, but we are trying to do the Cognito authentication. So that's our aiming for today. I have here Lucas with me again. Thanks, Lucas, for being helping. Thanks for coding that for us. So yeah, I'm gonna hand that over to Lucas to actually go to an overview on what we have done in the previous live and see the backend APIs we got at the moment. Lucas, welcome.
Hey, cool. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure to be here once again. And yes, let's go to what we want to do here, which is live coding. So, first of all, let me share my screen. Enjoy, please. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, not yet. I'll let
Not
you know
yet.
when you got that.
Yes. Gonna see everything, all the entire screen. Can you see myself in there? Oops, I
Yep,
can see
got.
a million of Lucas. Oops.
Yeah, I got it. Got your screen here. Cool.
Good. So, all right. First of all, let me give you guys an overview in what we have done, what I have done actually, and where we stopped. So, previously, in our last session, we did not have the front change folder here. We did have all the stacks, but not the front-end stack either. So let me go back to the packages. We did have the core folder, the users folders, SQL. We did have functions, but I remember last time when we tried to run the API, we got some problems. So what I've been doing, so let's go to the create functionality. I've changed a couple of things in here. So remember, just to point it out, in your, let me go back to the generated code.
Hey, Lucas, if
What
you
will,
can put the code a bit bigger. I think it's hard to
yep,
read.
no problem at all. You let me know when is enough. Is
Yeah,
that
better now. Better now.
better now? Can you read?
Yeah.
Perfect. So that's the one. So let me close it up here. So what we have done in the past was like we try to generate the user with auto generated number and as a UUID, but for some reason, like the Casely, which is the framework that we have been using for like our ORM, in this case, this framework was presenting problems somehow, so we could not generate our users automatically. So what we did, and we tried to follow these steps, so we make a little bit simpler, which was we create the user with just a number, very simple, so easy, so we could just keep going and testing. So I'm following that, but one thing that I want to do, and I just want to make sure that the number is actually auto-generated when we create and use it. So what I have done then, so we still keep generating, keep the migration as a number, and in the users, we have here, like we mentioned before, the details view, and then we have our controller, our model, and our services. So for the creation, we have it changed slightly, just a little bit. So we still have, before we just have like this one here, like just the assignment of the variables. But now, to be able to auto generate the number, so I create like actually a function here. So we actually are creating a user with a random ID. So we just passing the first name and age as a simple thing, and then we use your details view, and we are actually generate the number with unique ID and assign to the user creation. We see here the assignment of a new. So we create a new user with this generated IG, which comes from this function, and then it's quite simple. I'm not sure if everyone have used before math random and math flow, but if not, it's pretty useful if you want to generate random numbers. So we have done that. We have create our users. So that's the only thing that we changed. Actually, I changed for our user IDs. The rest keeps in the same way. So pretty simple, very straightforward. Did not change much. Just in here, which instead of just do like G's serves create user that comes from this details view, we actually assigning, because we want to always in the creation auto generate the number, the user IG. So to give you guys overviewing how everything is working, I am going to jump to my insomnia. So in the insomnia, as everyone can see, or maybe not can see, let me make this a little bit bigger. Please, Joy, let me know.
Lucas,
Yep.
just before you continue, I got a few questions after the last live.
Yes.
People were asking about the migrations, and there is a confusion because the word migration, some people think it's data migration. We are not
Nope.
migrating any data. So I just want to make clear, guys, we call migrations the scripts we use to actually generate database. So we are generating database as a code. So as you guys can see, we have TypeScript code here, and this TypeScript code using an ORM library is actually creating database tables and managing the database itself. So we are not using SQL here to actually create database, despite it's a SQL database. We are not using SQL queries and stuff to create a database. We are using this code, which we call migrations, but this code is actually JavaScript, actually TypeScript code, to generate the database and to actually interact with the database. Is that correct, Lucas?
Yes, that's correct. And you also like, if you want to, in this case, like what Joe mentioned is correct. So you can create your database structure in here, but you can also, if you want to, you can also use these migrations to move data around, to update fields, add new fields. But like it is like it is managing the database, like Joy pointed out. So pretty well done. Yeah. Any more questions regarding to migrations, or that's all?
That was the only one I've got. If you guys have more questions, just put in the comments, guys. We can answer that during the live. If you have any question, just ask us.
Just ask us. Like, and remember, like, you are not locked in to use just Casely. You can use any other or ORM. I used to work with one. I don't remember exactly which one was like the name, but it was very, very good as well. But I just chose Casely because like it's try to simplify as much as we can. So yes. So let's keep going. Uh, any questions regarding to APIs, Joy, to the detail, user DTOs, controllers, models, or not?
No, didn't get anything else. Keep going.
Cool. let's move on. So here, uh, I use Insomnia as I mentioned before, but feel free to use Postman, or even if you want to, in your Visual Studio Code, you have the standard client, which also can help to call ending points. You can use like this standard just to work only on Visual Studio Code, so you don't have to switch between different tools. I prefer Insomnia just because like I've been working with Insomnia for quite a while. So alright, so what I've done in Insomnia, just to make sure that my endpoints are working, I've created quite few different ending points. As we always try to do, we are trying to follow always the best practice. So give you guys a good example in what to do and not what not to do. So we are having here like two gets. One, it's the get which we call list, so we can list all the users. One, it is for a single user. We have the post, put, and delete. Let's go very quick and very simple in each one. So the main one is the list. So we have here our API URL. So in our case, as we are using the deployment to the AWS, so even though we are using local environment, uh, we actually deploying our code or infrastructure to AWS, and we're using AWS services to actually do what we need to do. In your case, we're using API Gateway and Lambda functions. So here is the ending point provided by API Gateway. This ending point will hit API Gateway, and API Gateway has in there like a code to our Lambda function, and the Lambda function will execute a code and bring back some response based on what we have written in your Lambda function, which was go to the database and return whatever we want to return. In this case in specific, our ending point called users, so it means it will return a list of users. I can just hit send. To remember, everyone, those ending points that we are using here, oops, I did not push here. So what happens, just to make sure you guys understand what's going on, I have to run my environment locally. So what that means, I have to bring it up my application as I'm doing here. Yes, so this creates a tunnel between my local machine and AWS. And as you can see here, this provides me an ending point. Why did it not work? Because I'm trying to hit a local ending point using this streaming, and my local server is not running. So this tunnel could not be, it's not created, so it's not going to work, of course. Let's just try again. It's going to return. Perfect. I have only one user. And Joey, just to make sure, one thing we can talking about, those ending points, they are free, like they are not safety. When I mean not saved, we did not added any security in those ending points. So
Yep.
anyone can hit any point. You do not need to be signed in, or it's not protected by any means. We can protect the endpoint using either Cognito, or using like any authorizer built by us, like a custom authorizer, or we can get something like just users logged in with Google or whatever. Like we can do that. So, but in
Yep.
your case, to simplify, we are not creating any specific authorizer, and our ending points, they have no like security, extra security.
Yeah, let me just explain to the audience like what we are doing. We are doing an incremental process. So at this point in time, if you guys hit these endpoints which we are showing you, probably you guys are going to be able to grab the same data as we are displaying. because it's open, as Lucas mentioned. When he said like it's unsafe, it's not actually unsafe. It's open to the public, basically.
That's right.
There is safety things applied in there. No one can actually mac up with the server or with AWS or anything. There's no server, it's serverless. But anyway, no one can mess up with the stuff. But the data itself is open because it's just test data. It's just dummy things we are doing. We didn't care at this point in time with security. So we didn't put that behind any protection and any password protection or anything. So it's not validating any user. The idea later on, when we actually implement the authentication, we're going to be implementing the authentication through the app. That's what we are aiming to do today. So we are going to be doing Cognito and front-end authentication. And after that, when we have authentication, then we can come back to these APIs and protect them. Is that correct, Lucas?
Yeah, that's right. Let's see how things are gonna go. So we can do a Cognito, and if we have time, we try to do the authorize it using Cognito to actually to protect our endpoint. So just
I would
logged
say
in
not
users.
today.
Yeah, well, I would. Yeah, let's see, but yeah,
A bit too much for
gonna be
today.
hard.
Let's leave it for the next live.
Cool, let's do it. So yeah, so we can see here, like we have our users. The next one, we will create our user. So this is when things start getting a bit more nicer. You guys can see here, I'm not sending any user ID. It's completely empty, not sending. It's going to be auto-generated. So we can send it. Good. It's going to return the data which is created. So here's the user ID. We can also use the next one here, which is the user by ID, to see if it's going to retrieve that ID. It's going to retrieve that user, sorry. Perfect. Retrieving the user. If I call the users, first one, we can see we have now 2 users. We can do update as usual. So the update will require a user ID at the end. We see here we have 2, which is good. And what's next? We can delete users with the same thing. So the users, pretty much like when you delete the user, it's just to make sure that the user gets deleted. The data that's going to be retrieved, it's the user that you're trying to delete. We can just try to delete one, which is good. You can see here it's going to retrieve that user. Perfect, the user is in there. If we go back to the list and retrieve all the users, the user that we just deleted, it's not there. So this is pretty much our first CRUD. We call create, read, update, and delete. And one more ending point, which is part of the CRUD, it is the list. So here is like the wrap of our previous live session. What's worth to mention here? One thing that is worth to mention, and what we have to do, and we're going to do, like Joy mentioned as well, like is step by step. So we're going to improve our authorization. We're going to improve our error handling. So just to you guys to make sure that what I'm talking about, if for some reason, let's try to do one thing. I have not tested that, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. So in this case, we just deleted that user with the ID 7006. If we try to update something related to this user, the user does not exist. So if we look, what brings back to us is an internal server error. So it's not like very user-friendly error. So what you want to return would be something like, oops, you tried to update a user that does not exist. So a better message would be user with the ID tanana does not exist. So, and then you will know, like, I'm trying to update, I'm trying to delete a user that does not exist. So that's an improvement. So, Joey, you have the list improvements for the next live sessions, but you have to check which one, which one will be, yeah.
It is an incremental process. So guys, to understand, like, for those who are not familiar with like agile process, what we do, we make that work as a proof of concept. That's what we are doing here. We are doing a proof of concept. We are making things work first. So the first test is that doing what it's intended to do, what it's meant to do. So if it's doing, like, we are aiming to save data, is it saving data? That's the first thing we are trying to do. So we are not treating any errors. We are not doing the perfect solution. After we make that work, we're going to come back and we're going to revisit things. So it's incremental process. We're going to be revisiting that many times until we get, like, let's say, a ready to production version. It's going to take a while until we get that. So yeah, those are the APIs as Lucas mentioned. And Lucas, is that the time where we're going to jump to the front end now?
Yep, we can talk about the front change. So for the audience, so in your case here, for a front change, first thing, I have a MacBook, so I've set up all my environment. I think that's very very worth to mention as well. So I've set up my environment to work with, of course, iOS. So that's why I'm testing here. And the application that we are doing, most of all development will be by opening iOS simulator. So I'm not gonna use Android simulator. I'm not gonna use web simulator. So as we are building our app, I'm going to use iOS simulator. And to be able to simulate our front change and our first screens, I would say you have to actually set up your Mac properly. I have not done on Windows at all. I don't have Windows. For those who has Windows, please talk to us. Send a message to Joey, to myself, so we can always find a way to set up and see what we can do and try to open a simulator in Android. But for people who has MacBook, please feel free to contact Joy or myself. I think that's something that we can do a step by step on how to set up the environment to run the app.
Yep. As I
Yep.
could see, it's a well documented process. I've done that to my environment as well. But as same as you, Lucas, I do have like Apple device, and like I've set up iOS simulator too. But when I was looking at the documentation, like they have pretty well documented process to actually set up any environment, either web or Android simulator. So it really depends on what you want to test with. It's supposed to work in all of them. That's why we are
Yes.
testing only in one first. So we're going to be building on top of iOS, and all our test is going to be on top of iOS. But we are expecting when we have some substantial thing, we can actually test on Android and web, and it's probably going to work straight away. I'm not expecting any major issue. Obviously, we can have some like things to actually adapt in the screen or some things to align. I expect a few things depending on the system, but nothing major. So yeah, that's why we're not going to be testing all environments all the time. We're going to be building and testing on iOS only at the beginning.
That's right.
And then at a certain point, we are going to start to test, or we're going to do some checkpoints in the other environments as well.
Very good. Very good. So feel free, Joy, to talk to the audience and say to them to actually get in contact so we can maybe help them. But like you mentioned, it's pretty well documented setup. So, but as we know, like people, especially for people who actually starting, so won't be easy. Maybe it won't be easy to set up, but for you guys, feel free to talk to us.
Yep. I would say the first step is try by yourself. If you can't do that, then talk to us.
No problem. No
Don't
problem.
be lazy. Don't be lazy trying to asking how to without even trying.
Yeah. Well, we'll be here, but yes, please, try yourself. Anyways, right. So good. Let's go on. So first thing that I want to show is the newly created front-end stack. So this front-end stack is where we start to say to our app, look, this is what I have, and this is the front-end folder that I have. This is the variables that I have to use. Please build an environment for me. So this front-end stack does that. It pretty much says to our AWS, create an environment. In this case, it is more a web environment. It does not apply to the app. This is I usually create the front end stack as a side as in a parallel way. So I do everything in the front end using like in this case I'm using Next to test. So I do everything in Next, and then I test it out, test my endpoints, build like just a simple website just to test my functionality. Is it working? Yes, it is. Then what I do, I kind of transpose that or translate that from my front end into the app. That's my way of working. Uh, we could, we could. I've tried to do that. I told Joey, but he wasn't happy with. I said to Joey, look, we can create a React application all responsive, and then just encapsulate that in a mobile version. And then he said, no, let's not be lazy. Uh, let's actually build our app. I said, all right, cool.
Yeah,
Joy 10.
let me explain why. The way you were saying looks like it's just
Mm,
because I don't want it.
nah.
Guys, I have to explain to you, like Lucas and myself, we are coming from a web background. So we have been developing for web, like I've been doing that for almost 20 years. Lucas is close to that. He's not as old as me, but he has been doing that for a while as well. And yeah, that's our background. That's what we have experience with. So we are not well experienced uh, app developers. So that's new
Yes.
for us as well. That's why Lucas suggested, can we do that in web, and then we can actually uh, pack that and deploy that as an app? That would be easier. I said, yeah, that would be easier for us, but probably not the proper way to do. If we have like React Native, that's a proper tool to actually create apps and stuff. Let's challenge ourselves a little bit and try to build something there. So you guys are gonna know it's like we are not have much experience here. So we are trying to build like a React Native app at the same time we learn that. So
Yeah.
please be patient with us. We are trying to do something new as well.
Yeah, I accept the challenge because like I thought like okay, React Native won't be too different from React. Well,
It is.
I wasn't right that time, so I said yes, Joey, let's do it. Well, but anyway, so here we are. All right, cool. So let's keep going. So JS1, guys, I just created to explain how it works and also to tell that you can use a web um, instead of a app, which for whoever has knowledge in building applications using frameworks as a Next, Gatsby, React, like I'm not putting Angular because no, I prefer more like these like libraries kind of, no framework libraries. But yeah, so you can do it. You can do it. You can just say to AWS to deploy a stack like using the SST. SST has a pretty good documentation how to do it, and you can do it. You can use it. So yeah, if you want to do that, here we go. Jesus, what are you gonna use? App? No, sorry, a web app, which is different. But in your case, we are actually building an app. So forget about that. It's in here. It's gonna be useful. Not now, maybe later. Let's see. Uh, let's jump into a front end folder. So what we are doing here in your front-end folder, we are installing what we call the expo. So we can see here we have the expo. We have all those folders that comes with that the expo itself. So when you install app, you can use React Native. Expo is more like kind of a framework to help you out to develop using React Native, and it actually creates a couple of folders for you. Creates the assets folder, and that's it. No the source folder, no the node module. So node modules is just installation. So if you install any packages, so if you install any packages, of course you have to have a node modules because like the base is node. So yeah, I've created the from chain folder. I've created with Expo. Uh, my environment is actually running uh, iOS. So I've configured my environment to run iOS, and I will show you guys what I have done. Let me close out. So two files in here are important. So of course the app, which is the beginning of everything, and the second file is the config file. So what they do, so because we are working with AWS and we need access from our app into those, like what I'm saying, like those services, AWS services. So we need a couple of things in here. So we will be uploading, let's say, a profile picture. We'll be uploading because it's gonna be my roommate's app. So you may don't want it, but like it's pretty good to like in the app itself, like just to show who you are. So you set up your profile, put your face in there. Once you set up a group, once you set up like I want to run with those people, it's good to know who they are. Like instead of just see the names, you can see the picture. So thinking about that, it's pretty good to have a S3 bucket to hold those pictures. So S3 bucket will be the service which will get those uploads, save those images, and provide those images later on. API gateway, which is crucial because we will be from our app will be hitting ending points. So you're going to be hitting like create new user, like we saw before, update new user, in your case, profile. Let's forget about user profiles. When I'm saying user profile, so update my profile, not create, forget about create, but like update my profile, delete image, my profile picture, or create a new profile picture, update profile picture, create groups, and so on. So the API gate will provide us ending point. Another important part would be the Cognito, which is our user management kind of database for our application. So once someone registers themselves, so that service on AWS will be the one that's going to hold all the information about that user. So if you log in using your Google, if you log in using your email and password, no matter how you're gonna log in, so that's the service that will hold your your credentials. So let's go. So we have those three, which is good. Jesus or config file. As you guys can see here already, we are using environment variables because we don't want to expose those variables in a config file. So imagine you're doing something here and then you commit your change to a GitHub, and you have here, instead of region is not so important. I could not have the region here, makes no sense, but just as a best practice, my configuration file, I put everything in an env file. So, but like your user pool, your identity pool, it's kind of, no, you're back to know so much, but like you may have some variables that may be important, and then you don't want to expose to, like to anybody outside of your environment. And then that person, one good example would be like, we'll be using that, which is the Google, because you're going to be able to log in via Google. So the Google credential for your app, the Google ID, will not be exposed, as someone can get that ID and start to use that ID, let's say, in their own app, and instead of your credentials goes to an app, that could go to somebody else's app. So that's why it won't be exposed. And to not expose that, we use G's process and the variable name. This is an env file, and this is like a hidden file which won't get committed to GitHub. It will be only available in your local machine. And then you may be thinking, but what's gonna happen when I just like deploy my application to production? We'll get there. Don't worry about it, we'll get there. Joy, anything to mention in here?
No, not really. I think you explained everything very well.
Cool. All right, so we have a configuration file in here. So let's use that configuration file in especially the only service that you're gonna use today, like, which is Cognito. Like nothing else, we only going to use Cognito. All right, so how we do then? We come to our app.tsx, because I'm using TypeScript to do all those things. So what do we have here? So simple. We have everything for the React Native. Status bar comes from Expo, but React Native. If you look documentation, React Native documentation, you will easily find those components. It's built in, so that's why we're using style, text, view, pressable. It's like a button. Pretty much that's it. So to make very, very simple, we are using a library called Amplify. So for those who wants to know Amplify, they have a pretty nice tutorial in what to do with React Native. If you guys get a chance, I may ask Joy to do that as well, to put that link in the video, in the comments, somewhere else. But it's a very nice way of building apps. So Amplify is just a library where you can use, and has all those services like S3, API Gateway, we may see here somewhere, but has all those services embedded, so you can just go install or add into your app. Like in here, it will be available in your package.json. So if you look, where is my, probably went to my, oops, I'm in the wrong package.json here. As we see here, I'm using TypeScript Amplify for UI React Native, but here we go. We have the Amplify library in here, so we can use it. Good. So we're using Amplify. So what we do, we just import Amplify, and then we have with Authenticator and use Authenticator. So let me explain those. Use Authenticator is to use the actual Cognito. You say, I want to use the authenticator provided by Amplify in my React Native. Which authenticator am I talking about? Cognito. Yeah, and with is your application. You want to encapsulate your application with an authenticator. So if we look back here, your whole application, it's not gonna be loaded. Any of those pages, any of those halts of our application won't be loaded until the authenticator authentication, sorry, it's been done. So first thing that's gonna load, if you take this off, your application can load the routes, like the app routes. But once you just encapsulate your whole application with authenticator, you're telling your application, look, I want to load my application, but at first I want to load the authentication. That's required. So in your case, my roommates will require the user to be authenticated. So that's why we have to have the whole application encapsulated by this authenticator. Joey can mention later, but like if you could have like an app where authentication is not required, and you may just want to authenticate your user in a specific route, like you can do that. But in your case, no. In your case, the user has to be authenticated before he start to use that. So we encapsulate the app with the authenticator. Yep. Any questions, Joey?
No, all good. I just would say like the Amplify, if you guys didn't get exactly what Amplify is, I'm going to leave the link as Lucas mentioned. I'm going to leave the link in the description of the video. But Amplify basically is, let's say, a service from AWS to actually make things easier for us to use other AWS services in an app. So they got some shortcuts in Amplify to actually use other AWS services like Cognito, like we are doing. So we are using Amplify as a sort of shortcut to reach Cognito in the code. And that's what Lucas is doing. And yeah, as Lucas well mentioned, like we may have different types of apps, but basically we can have like 3 types of apps. One is completely enclosed under a secured thing, which is going to be like under user authentication. That's my roommate's app. So the app is completely closed. No one can actually do anything in the app other than authenticate first. So once you open the app, the first thing you're going to be able to do is authenticate. You can't reach any route. You can't go anywhere. And then after authenticating, then after telling the app who you are, then you can do something. That's one type of app. There are other 2, I would say. The other one is a completely open app where you don't have to authenticate at all. So some apps, you just use the app without doing anything, without even creating a user or telling the app who you are. Those are completely open apps. And we also have a mix of both. Some apps, like you can do something unauthenticated, and then for some features, they ask you to authenticate and identify yourself. Anyway, none of those are us. We are doing something different here. We're going to be completely closed. Yep.
Yep.
Moving forward,
Cool.
Lucas.
All
Over to you.
right. So, good. So, all right. The next step would be Amplify by itself. If you look again, documentation, Amplify requires a configuration. In your case, because we are using 3 different services, authentication, which is Cognito, storage, which is S3, and API, which is the API gateway, we are configuring all 3 services. So I'm not gonna mention each one, but like if you guys want to like have any questions, please leave in the comments. We will I can go through each of those settings. But the most important is to actually see the application working. So authentication is storage, just simple one. All you need is just that. This is identity pool, just so Cognito can access that storage later on to push your profile picture, and of course API gateway. So pretty much that's it. Now, how do we use the amplify? So you have configured amplify. Remember, we have with authenticator as a wrapper. This is it's coming from actually amplify, so which is good. You can create, you can tell the application, look, when you load, uh, go and have a look at the user selector. Do you have a user selector? No. So use the authenticator, which is Cognito, to load it up my user. Do I have a user? No. So I don't have any authentication. I haven't never signed up or never signed in. So then what we're going to do, we're going to jump into the signing option. The authenticator wrapper will see, do I have a token? No, I do not have a token. Boom, present the signing straight away. Present the signing page. Do I have a token? Because, like, remember, Joy, you can explain better than I can. Jesus authentication, the token is not stored on your machine. It's like online token. Uh, I
It's
forgot how they call stateless.
stateless. Stateless.
Yes.
Yeah, they call stateless authentication. So every single call we do to the backend, it's like a brand new call. We don't have sessions here as we used to do like in web applications. In a web application, I mean, like in old days of web applications, we used to have like a monolithic system with a backend language, and that backend language usually create like a session. So when you authenticate, it's going to create a session, and you're going to have many back and forth within the same session, the same user session. This one is completely different. That's called stateless. So every call we do, it's like a brand new. And to be able to see who is actually doing that call, we need to use that token, as Lucas was mentioned. So that token is basically your user authentication. And obviously, there's a lot of validations in place to make sure you are the right person using the token. So if you just share the token, probably it won't work because of the time and many other constraints we
Mm-hmm.
have. So it's not just a matter of stealing a token and you're going to be pretend you are someone else, because you're not. You can't. It's not unsafe as that. But there's no sessions anymore because it's stateless. Every time you make a call to the backend, you have to send that token together. So probably when we are authenticating, Lucas, I'm not sure how exactly it's going to work, but I'm guessing is when you authenticate the front end, you're going to be hitting Cognito somehow. You're going to grabbing the token, and you're going to store the token in your front end, so you can reuse that for every single call. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And the one of the configurations I have not done yet, but one of the configurations will be, because this is going to be an app, then I have it set up or just like config everything to work with web application. But that is one of the configurations here, which is the storage configuration. So that token that Joy mentioned, it's going to be stored in your device and will be reutilized by your device. So your device will grab that token and will call again. And then once we call AWS, even a stateless way, so grab that token, send in a request, and then we see, oops, I'm already authenticated. So just bring it the user instead of asking for the signing again. Cool. And any more, Joy? Like anything
No,
else for to mention? No.
that's all for the moment. Let's keep going.
Cool. So to wrap it up, like another thing that I've done was, remember, with Authenticator, are you signed it in? No. Present the signing. Yes, I am. Call the app. app itself has just a simple view, which has a text, status bar, styled to auto, which is we saw that the component, and the signing out button. The signing out button uses the authentication, like the authenticator, because you're already authenticated. So it uses the authenticator, grabs the information that needs to grab it, which is just the user itself, which is information, and grabs the sign out, which is a method. So that's why we pass. That's why like different colors, and that's why we call sign out as a press and user as a reference in here, because we just want to show the username. So this is the app. That's the authentication. Everything's built in by AWS Amplify, which is great. So we don't have to actually implement the method for login, sign up, and so on. So once you wrap it up, your application in that with authenticator coming from Amplify, you all good to go. You have all your authentication preset. All right, so I think that's time to test. So what I will do, I'm already signed in here. I will close my application. I will just finish off my server, stop my server, and I will start again as from scratch. All right. So, yep. Questions?
No, I would say like which components we have in the screen at the moment. As far as I could see, you have just one button to actually authenticate. Is that right? What?
Uh,
We have a view, open an app.
no. What we have this with authenticator is the wrapper,
Yeah.
and it's coming from the Amplify. So Amplify provides to you the 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 pages. Which pages Amplify provide to you? Signing, built-in, signing, built-in, sign up, built-in forgot password. So it's all built in this with authenticator Amplify. When I load the screen, we will see what we actually are coding in here. So once you are signed in, it's going to grab your app. In the app, you have a view with a text, simple text, just to show that you have been authenticated. And then you will have a sign out button. Because why sign out button? I want to show you when you click in that button, which has here the method, we will be signing out the user. So pretty simple, very straightforward. I'm not going to implement anything crazy. It is just so people can see, okay, I have the login page, I have the sign up page, I have the forgot password page, and I have also the, once I'm signed in, I have the sign out button. Very
Perfect.
simple.
Perfect. Yep.
Cool. I have loaded my server, so I just need to open iOS, just need to press one. That's my choice. Sorry, no one, and this is going to load Expo. That's what we are using. It's building the bundle. It's a JavaScript bundle. That's the beauty of JavaScript. Some people don't like, some people just love it. Oh well.
I'm in the second team. Love it.
Oh well, me too.
As soon as we don't have to work with promises, I love it.
Uh, yeah, exactly. Look, one thing that is funny here, even if I'm building everything from scratch, stop my server, as it is a stateless, like Joy mentioned, my signing is on the cloud. So the application can see that my user is signed in. And instead of presenting me the signing page, it says, no, 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 it says stateless, you already signed in, bring your user. Funny and pretty good. Let's sign out.
So it means you have your code somewhere. Uh,
Yes,
are you storing that local already, or it's just grabbing that from sort of caching stuff?
It's grabbing from the cache, but it's like on AWS. So when you're signing here, goes to Cognito. Cognito look and say, yes, that user is signed in. You know, like the user that you're trying to pass is signed in, like from your cache, from your phone here, like Jesus emulating a phone.
This
So yeah,
simulator, yeah.
so it looks and say, look, this user is signed in already. So don't be bothered. Like just grab the credentials, get the credentials, and bring back the user. So yeah,
Gotcha.
cool.
So that's the screen you said is actually coming already done from Cognito to us. You didn't build any of the components in this screen, right?
Exactly right. I didn't create any input fields. I didn't create any buttons. Nothing. Amplify the library Amplify. When you wrap the application with Authenticator, it brings back. It gives you that screen, which is pretty good.
Okay, is that possible to customize that?
Yes, it is. You can customize. You can put your logo. You can change the labels. You can change the color. Um, they actually not sure when, but like in the beginning was very like kind of not good customized. You could not customize much, but now in the new version they actually like bring back push like all the custom chains for the screen, so you can do anything that you want. Yeah, pretty much anything. Not everything, but a lot.
That's cool.
I'm just going to flick it out between pages and just show what they can, what this library give us. So we have the signing, built-in. We have the account creation, built-in, or Cognito is set up to use username. I've made a mistake in here because I forgot to put the phone number. So just for you guys to understand, Cognito can work with different types of username. So you can provide a simple username, which is just a username. You can provide use as a username your email, or you can use your phone number. Apps apps itself, it's most common to use phone numbers, not email, sometimes username, sometimes. Um, when I push Cognito, I remember I use username because like I first thought that would be a hybrid kind of a web app, not an app itself. So if I try to create my account, it will try to send me a code, and this code is not gonna be anywhere. I will show you guys. I will show you how to authenticate. I will show you how to actually confirm that user. But let's go back one step and let me just show you the screens that Amplify give us. So we saw the signing, we saw the account creation. Let's go back to signing, and we have forgot password. Yes, so forgot password send us the code in the same way as register or sign up or create account also give us a code. I do have, yep,
I would say another
question.
thing I think it's important to mention here, Lucas, is at the moment we just put the let's say the normal authentication, which is username, some sort of username like email or phone number, as Lucas mentioned, and password. So that's the most common way of authentication. But with Cognito, it's pretty easy to actually set up in the backend on AWS. You can go and set up to actually authenticate with other authentication providers like Google account or Apple account or any other sort of account you have, and we can connect with those accounts. And probably that first screen, as you guys could see, if we set up that properly, you're going to have the logos in that screen where you just click in like an Apple logo, you're going to authenticate with Apple, or clicking Google logo, you're going to authenticate with Google. And that's going to make things pretty easier for the users to actually authenticate instead of creating their own user and keeping passwords, which most of people forget passwords. So they can actually authenticate with their social media account and that sort of stuff.
Yes, that's right, and that's the next step. That's going to be another like kind of a live demo, live coding session. In this case, not sure if it's worth to mention, Joey. Like we are not typing code; we actually demoing the code that we previously type it. Not sure if you want to change, if you want to actually start coding, like live coding and start, because like that would take a lot of time from people as well that are watching, from the audience, and we ended up like losing a lot of time like testing these and not working. It is more fun. We can maybe do it, like, but it is up to you.
Yeah, let's wait for the comments. I'm gonna leave for them, guys. Please let me know in the comments or shoot me a message, like if you prefer us to be live coding, really coding here, or if you prefer to actually get the code which we already done, and then we're just gonna explain the code as we have been doing for the previous live and this one. We basically have the code and we are explaining what we have done and how it works. In my opinion, it's more valuable to you guys. You're gonna take more out of that, other than we being coding and making mistakes and getting back, and then you guys can sort of get lost on our own mistakes. But yeah, I'm keen to actually hear from you guys who are watching, which ones you prefer. So if you prefer for us to be live coding and making mistakes and doing like real life, let me know and we can change that.
And put some pressure on me.
And put some pressure on us, both of us.
Yeah, you have to help me too. Let's code some. All right, cool. Anyway, so I will just try to create a user. Like I mentioned, it's supposed to have like a phone number in here, but I do not have it. So it will try to send a code you want, but I will tell you how you can confirm your user and just show a little bit of Cognito as well. I'm gonna create a new user. I'm gonna use yes, Lucas as a user. I'm gonna set up a password.
Yeah, we just got a comment here from Alex. He said we should be doing both, coding and explaining the code.
Good, very
Thanks,
good.
Alex. You're gonna be coding here next time, man.
For sure. Let's bring him. So, anyways, set up my username. Here's my password. I'm gonna create my account. You see one thing, funny thing. Sorry, Lucas, it was too late for me to code that. You can see the confirmation code here. It never comes to me for some reason. I thought that would come and would be, presented somewhere. I said, it's gonna be here. Nah, see, like nothing there.
No.
It doesn't send anything. I don't even know who is JAE. So, I just set up the phone. There's someone there already. Well, anyway, so yeah, what we can tell, if it's sending the code, it's because your user has been registered on Cognito, but has not been confirmed yet. What we're going to do, we're going to come here. Let me reload. This is Cognito. And if we look users, this is my tab users. We can see here Lucas. It's unconfirmed. I can easily confirm that guy. You come here, confirm account, confirm. Promise it by the next demo that will be pretty good to go.
One question, Lucas. In
Yep.
that screen where you said like you should have the phone number, where we set up the fields in there, I'm pretty sure we can set up in this Cognito interface, but I also think we can set it up in the codes. Is that right?
Yes,
Using
we
EST.
can. If we look, let me bring back the stack Cognito. If we look back in here, yeah, so in this case, you can see here my stack. My stack is pointing to use username or email as a login, as authentication. But phone number is not here. And one thing is we deployed our stack already. We cannot change the way that Cognito signs in. Once you deploy your stack and you tell your stack, especially Cognito service, that your authentication is going to be on top of username and email, you cannot either change to only mail or only username, or you cannot, for example, add here,
Phone number.
phone number.
Got you. Yeah, because if you change that, the user who already created, they won't be able to authenticate. Probably that's
Exactly.
why you can't change it yet.
So what we will need to come here to our stack, delete our stack, where we need to come to our cloud formation. It's good for the audience to know, but that's kind of live coding, but not live coding. We come to
Like
our
setting up the environment.
live infrastructure. So we come here to our Cognito. We will pretty much delete that stack here. We delete that stack. Because it's a test, we don't have users in there or available users. We can delete. Otherwise, we would just create a new stack, not with the same name, like a Cognito 2, or we may just come here to the stack and I don't know, we could just like export the users and import in the new one, delete, of course, export like a backup, delete, or just update with a new name. We could do different things to sort it out, but the most important thing is it cannot exist.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
We have to be careful with the users we already have if it was in production. As it's not,
Yes,
we really don't care. It's all test users. We can delete that safely. If it was
exactly.
something production running, we basically can't, as you mentioned, we can't change the stack. So we had to create a new one. And if you had to create a new one, we have to find a way to transfer the data from the old one to the new one. Completely
That's
makes
right.
sense.
So we have a user here, user attribute 1. The user has been confirmed. The name is Lucas. We can go back to our app. I'm just going to do that because like the screen gets stuck on this coding kind of setting. So I'm gonna press I again just to rebuild our app, to bring back this signing page. Newly updated signing page. You can just go here, Lucas, and put the password and sign in. Here we go. We are able to sign in. Pretty simple. So and then here says hello Lucas. If we look in the app, we can see here hello, hello, and then if we have user called Lucas, could do something like
And that was a pretty good demonstration on how long it takes to actually create something good. I would say how long it takes, not how long it takes to do, but actually to explain that, because that's what we've been doing. Right? We're explaining, but you guys can see we took more than an hour. We are here for 1 hour and 10 minutes already, and we just got to like login screen and we pass through that. Basically, something pretty simple by the eyes of the normal users, but something really complex for devs' eyes. So if you want to build something like safe enough with all the security in place, all the safety stuff we have to implement, it does take time. It's not like an easy thing. Most time we usually don't care like how it works. People just want to get app, clicking a button and get into it. They really don't care how the authentication works until they lose their data. Until the data is leaked or something happened, then they got concerned about it. So yeah, as a dev, we should be concerned about that. That's true.
100%. Cool. Yes. Yeah, Joey, like I will pass to you. Not sure if you want me to demo something else or we're over time.
As I mentioned, like we are here for a long time already. I think it was a good session to get to this point. I want to say thank you, Lucas. And guys, if you have any comments or any questions, let us know in the comments below. We're going to be happy to interact with you guys. And yeah, I think we have done something pretty good today. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. That's all for now, guys. Thank you. I'll see you guys next time.